6 minutes. That is exactly how much time Officer Martinez possessed before the heavy garbage truck arrived at the Willowbrook Apartments located in Raleigh, North Carolina. The bitter January wind violently cut through his dark jacket as he sprinted desperately across the freezing asphalt parking lot. A dedicated surveillance team had been closely watching a suspect named Amanda for 8 long months. But tonight Martinez was flying completely solo, acting entirely on a sudden dangerous hunch. He quickly drops to his knees and aggressively tears open the very first yellow trash bag he finds. He discovers nothing but useless kitchen scraps and discarded cat litter inside the dark plastic. However, the second heavy bag instantly feels completely different to his trained hands. A potent and incredibly heavy chemical smell aggressively hits his face. Deep inside the bag, a massive pile of crystalline powder brightly catches the sharp beam of his tactical flashlight. This was not just a small stash of recreational street drugs meant for a weekend party. He was staring at over 5 pounds of incredibly pure MDMA, carrying a massive street value exceeding $200,000. This single trash bag represented the vital loose thread that would successfully unravel the most sophisticated mail-order drug empire the internet had ever witnessed. It was a massive global criminal empire quietly run by an invisible digital ghost. For 3 entire years, this brilliant mastermind, calling himself Lon, stayed completely invisible to international law enforcement agencies. He successfully moved thousands of illicit packages across multiple international borders, while generating massive millions in untraceable cryptocurrency. He maintained absolute perfect digital anonymity until this one single careless bag of suburban trash changed absolutely everything forever. But to truly understand this massive takedown, this dark story must actually start 2 years earlier inside a grim New York gym. Anthony was a hard-working construction worker whose daily routine practically never changed over 6 long years. His alarm clock violently rang at 5 every single morning inside his cramped Staten Island apartment. He always arrived at his dusty construction site in Brooklyn by 7, before hitting the local gym on Richmond Avenue by 6 in the evening. The only minor variation in his strict life was taking quarterly trips to a shady warehouse for muscle-building steroids. When his reliable underground steroid supplier suddenly disappeared, completely a deep sense of absolute panic rapidly set in. He was currently preparing for a major bodybuilding competition, scheduled to happen in just 4 short months. Without his regular supply of chemical testosterone and illegal growth hormone, his countless months of painful physical sculpting would simply vanish into thin air. A muscular workout partner eventually pulled him aside and quietly mentioned a secret digital alternative for chemicals. The friend explained the hidden existence of the dark web, comparing it directly to a massive retail website, but selling completely illegal goods. He instructed Anthony to simply download a special anonymity browser and purchase digital Bitcoin from a strange machine located on Northern Boulevard. The incredibly shady Bitcoin terminal stood awkwardly inside a cramped neighborhood store, wedged between a check-cashing counter and a phone repair desk. Anthony truly felt like an absolute criminal feeding cash. The entire purchasing process felt completely surreal as he navigated the hidden corners of the internet from his dark living room. He carefully downloaded the complex anonymity software and created multiple user accounts using entirely fake names. The illegal vendor websites looked incredibly professional, featuring detailed customer reviews and slick graphics, while openly selling massive quantities of banned narcotics. When his highly anticipated package finally arrived at the local post office, something instantly felt completely wrong. The cardboard box felt significantly heavier than he originally expected and produced a strange rattling sound when gently shaken. His extensive background working on incredibly sketchy and dangerous construction sites across the city had taught him a vital lesson. He firmly knew he always needed to deeply trust his gut instincts whenever small details simply did not fit together perfectly. Instead of walking his normal route, he nervously boarded a city bus and paid entirely in cash. He intentionally exited the bus 3 stops early and rapidly doubled back through a crowded housing project to lose any potential tails. He changed his walking route twice more, while nervously cutting through various empty parking lots located behind the local medical center. He finally used a hidden service entrance to access his apartment building instead of walking through the highly visible main lobby. Once safely inside his locked apartment, the strange package sat on his kitchen table. It looked exactly like a terrifying ticking time bomb waiting to completely destroy his simple, quiet life. When he finally sliced the thick tape open with a sharp box cutter, his calloused hands were shaking uncontrollably. Instead of finding the familiar glass vials of liquid testosterone, he discovered dozens of small amber bottles completely filled with colorful chemical pills. They were stamped with innocent-looking dolphin logos and sleek car emblems, making them look like sweet candy. He was staring directly at a massive pile of illegal ecstasy pills carrying a massive street value of $40,000. Suddenly, his burner phone violently buzzed on the kitchen counter, displaying a highly encrypted email message from the mysterious vendor named Lon. The extremely polite message claimed there was a simple package mix-up and requested that Anthony forward the illegal boxes to a different address. The dark web vendor promised to compensate him $500 immediately. $500 represented exactly 2 full weeks of backbreaking physical labor at his dusty construction job. The digital sender sounded incredibly professional, making the terrifying situation feel exactly like a simple corporate shipping error. Anthony genuinely believed the entire situation was just an innocent accident, but he was completely wrong about the reality. This was absolutely not a shipping mistake, but rather a highly sophisticated and deeply calculated criminal recruitment strategy designed to capture him. The brilliant mastermind deliberately sent massive quantities of hard drugs directly to desperate steroid buyers across the country. He targeted people who were already comfortable breaking minor federal laws and who might easily take the next dangerous step for fast, easy money. Within 6 short months, Anthony was happily forwarding massive illicit packages every single month without asking any difficult questions. Each heavy box he mailed pulled him significantly deeper into something much bigger and infinitely more dangerous. The complex logistical system this digital ghost created was absolutely brilliant in its structural simplicity and raw effectiveness. Traditional drug dealing is inherently vulnerable because capturing a single street customer easily leads directly back to the main supplier. If the police successfully catch the main dealer, they can easily identify the entire network of loyal customers and destroy the business. But this digital system functioned exactly like a highly legitimate corporate supply chain repurposed for heavy illegal narcotics. The first crucial step involved sourcing incredibly high-quality chemical narcotics directly from underground laboratories located in the United Kingdom. The second step involved shipping these massive bulk quantities entirely across the ocean to various unaware middlemen operating inside America. These ordinary people like Anthony acted as blind domestic reshippers, forwarding individual customer orders to entirely different addresses across multiple states. This brilliant, multi-layered system created massive legal buffers, protecting the real mastermind located overseas. The sheer operational scale of this digital smuggling network was absolutely massive and entirely unprecedented in modern criminal history. Endless boxes of illegal party drugs flooded directly into prominent college dormitories, while highly addictive sedatives fed a raging national anxiety epidemic. Powerful chemical anesthetics were quietly delivered straight to the front doors of stressed medical professionals seeking a quick escape. Over 10,000 illegal packages successfully crossed multiple international borders over a highly profitable 3-year span. Some of the more dedicated domestic middlemen actually processed hundreds of illegal packages every single month like a full-time job. The true evil genius of the entire operation rested entirely within the dark psychology of the sophisticated recruitment process. The mastermind exclusively targeted completely ordinary working-class people who were already gently bending minor societal rules for personal gain. The incredibly professional communication and steady illicit income made the dangerous felony feel exactly like legitimate corporate employment. Amanda was another perfect example of an ordinary citizen happily operating as a crucial gear inside this massive criminal machine. She lived quietly in a beautiful suburban neighborhood where wide driveways still proudly featured basketball hoops and friendly neighbors shared warm greetings. She worked a deeply boring part-time job at a medical billing company and drove an incredibly old car with a severely dented bumper. She had absolutely never been arrested for anything more serious than parking illegally. She was exactly the type of completely invisible operative the dark web mastermind desperately needed to expand his massive illegal empire. She was highly methodical enough to perfectly follow complex shipping instructions while remaining sufficiently paranoid about minor logistical details to avoid mistakes. Her aggressively middle-class lifestyle made her practically invisible to any federal law enforcement agencies, actively hunting down violent drug cartels. Her desperate financial struggles made her completely willing to take terrifying risks for steady cash. Amanda originally discovered this massive criminal operation while browsing a specialized online forum dedicated entirely to experimental chemical research. She had been quietly purchasing legal brain enhancers to help her maintain extreme focus during the incredibly stressful corporate tax season. These obscure chemical substances existed in a very strange legal gray area, somewhere perfectly between standard vitamin supplements and highly regulated pharmaceuticals. When her regular, reliable vendor suddenly vanished from the internet, she eagerly sought out a new digital connection. A helpful anonymous user on the encrypted message board highly recommended a completely new professional service operated by the Digital Ghost. The glowing review praised the vendor for utilizing incredible stealth shipping methods and proudly claiming that 0 packages had ever been legally seized. Her very first experimental order was incredibly modest and strictly contained enough focus pills to survive her demanding office workload. The small package arrived exactly as described, featuring highly professional vacuum sealing and absolutely no chemical smells. There were absolutely no obvious visual indicators that the pristine cardboard box contained anything even remotely illegal or highly dangerous. The fake return address belonged to a completely fabricated research laboratory, supposedly operating out of a sleek office building in Sweden. But carefully tucked inside the box alongside the chemical pills was a beautifully printed note on extremely expensive, thick corporate paper. The mysterious sender fully understood that she was struggling financially and casually offered her $500 monthly. The highly professional letter falsely explained that massive European companies were simply using local domestic forwarders to distribute perfectly legal health supplements. This complex lie made absolute logical sense to her desperate mind and ultimately solved all of her immediate crushing financial problems forever. Within 6 short months, the quiet suburban woman rapidly transformed into the absolute most productive and highly efficient shipping agent on the coast. She successfully processed over 4,000 illegal packages while maintaining an obsessive level of security. The dedicated suburban mother developed an incredibly complex rotation system to ensure she never triggered any suspicion at local shipping facilities. On Monday mornings, she always dropped her illegal packages at a busy postal center located far away on a major commercial boulevard. On Tuesdays, she quietly visited a completely different corporate shipping store nestled inside a wealthy retail village. By Wednesday, she strategically shifted her operations to a crowded facility situated right next to a massive university campus. She absolutely never utilized the exact same shipping location twice within the span of a single operational week. She strictly limited her physical drops and never mailed more than 5 individual packages from any single designated address during one visit. She always paid for the expensive postage, using completely untraceable physical cash, and absolutely never used her personal credit cards. She even constantly cycled through various clothing combinations to perfectly defeat any advanced pattern recognition software running on security cameras. Federal surveillance teams had actually been aggressively watching her daily movements for 8 long months before making any aggressive tactical moves. They possessed hundreds of clear photographs documenting her physically visiting nearly 40 different postal facilities scattered entirely across the entire county. They absolutely knew she was receiving massive bulk shipments at her quiet suburban home and forwarding them to strangers across the country. But they could simply never catch her actually possessing anything definitively illegal in public spaces. She was entirely too cautious, and always treated the massive illegal enterprise exactly like a highly legitimate corporate small business venture. She absolutely never opened any mysterious packages in public areas and never carried the dangerous narcotics in her vehicle longer than necessary. She maintained incredibly detailed electronic spreadsheets, tracking every single customer shipment while proudly providing excellent customer service to drug addicts. But unfortunately for her, the microscopic residue of highly illegal chemical powders always naturally accumulates over time. Every single vacuum-sealed package she carefully sliced open inside her quiet home left behind absolutely invisible chemical traces. After processing thousands of illegal shipments, these completely microscopic chemical traces eventually accumulated enough to become physically visible to the naked eye. On a freezing Sunday evening, her absolute worst nightmare began unfolding, simply because of a torn plastic bag leaking pure white powder. She frantically vacuumed the highly illegal mess from her living room carpet, completely unaware of the approaching danger. When she eventually emptied the dirty vacuum canister directly into her kitchen trash bag, she unknowingly sealed her own dark fate forever. The highly observant police officer parked down the dark street, spotted the heavy trash bags, and decided to investigate the suspicious waste. He boldly intercepted the garbage just minutes before the loud city truck arrived and discovered massive amounts of discarded illicit chemical powder. The highly pure narcotics she casually threw away carried a staggering massive street value. The very next evening, she was excitedly preparing to celebrate her beloved mother having a wonderful birthday dinner at a local Italian restaurant. She was cheerfully dressing in her quiet suburban bedroom when her phone suddenly rang with a warm message from the restaurant parking lot. Her sweet mother happily announced that their favorite corner table was already prepared and kindly asked if she should sit down early. She enthusiastically told her mother to order bread while promising to arrive very shortly. She never made it to that joyful family celebration because federal tactical teams were already aggressively surrounding her quiet apartment complex. While her lonely mother was happily ordering a glass of red wine, a heavy police battering ram violently shattered her front door. The armed agents immediately discovered over 100 pounds of illegal chemicals, alongside highly detailed electronic ledgers documenting every transaction. Her meticulously organized corporate spreadsheets provided the exact digital clues needed to finally hunt down the mastermind. Armed with the incredibly detailed shipping ledgers, federal investigators aggressively decided to set a highly sophisticated physical trap for the remaining operatives. They carefully constructed a massive bait package, completely filled with fake chemicals, perfectly matching the exact physical weight of the seized shipments. They successfully lured the muscular construction worker back into the dangerous web by sending the massive fake package to his exact location. He was quickly arrested on the cold city streets without offering any physical resistance to the armed agents. During his intense interrogation, he completely shattered the illusion of digital anonymity by simply revealing a basic commercial email address he utilized. That seemingly harmless digital account required standard recovery phone numbers and actively logged unique internet addresses pointing directly toward a specific location. The terrifying invisible ghost violently running the entire global drug empire was finally pinned down to a quiet neighborhood located in central England. International intelligence agencies immediately began a massive coordinated surveillance operation targeting the highly sophisticated digital kingpin. The physical suspect completely shocked the seasoned investigators because he looked absolutely nothing like a traditional violent drug cartel leader. He was an incredibly quiet man in his early 30s, who constantly wore expensive designer clothing while maintaining a completely unemployed status. He aggressively utilized the exact same paranoid rotation strategies as his American workers by visiting dozens of completely different local post offices. He absolutely never utilized the exact same mailing location twice in a single week while exclusively paying with cash. The brilliant criminal mastermind proudly believed he was completely untouchable and often ended his encrypted messages claiming he was still dancing. But even the absolute smartest criminals eventually make fatal mistakes when trying to manage massive amounts of illegal wealth across international borders. A heavily armed tactical response team violently exploded his reinforced apartment door at exactly 4 in the freezing morning while he slept. The stunned kingpin desperately dove across the dark room, attempting to violently smash his encrypted computer keyboards. He was violently tackled to the hard wooden floor just 18 inches away from successfully destroying absolutely all the digital criminal evidence. The massive tactical raid completely exposed highly secure cryptocurrency wallets containing staggering amounts of illegal global wealth totaling millions of dollars. However, the incredibly detailed digital ledgers clearly indicated that nearly half of the massive illegal fortune was already completely missing from the accounts. The missing digital money led investigators directly to his loyal brother, operating a highly corrupt business overseas. The trusted sibling had been quietly laundering the massive digital profits by purchasing expensive real estate and solid gold across multiple countries. The entire unstoppable digital empire ultimately collapsed simply because of basic human nature and the inherent deep desire to share massive success. The brilliant mastermind could have easily maintained perfect, absolute digital isolation, but he ultimately chose to deeply trust his own loving family. This basic human need for connection and trust provided the exact fatal weakness that destroyed his entire global empire. The massive international network successfully processed hundreds of kilograms of highly dangerous narcotics while generating staggering tens of millions in pure profit. The entire sophisticated operation was completely brought down by simple human errors, including a careless trash bag and a standard email account. It was not advanced hacking or complex surveillance technology that finally defeated the most powerful drug lord on the dark web. It was simply the universal truth that completely perfect criminal systems do not exist because humans are inherently flawed. The shocking criminal case fundamentally changed exactly how global law enforcement aggressively investigates complex dark web trafficking and traces illicit digital currency. It clearly revealed that in the modern age of absolute digital anonymity, the greatest vulnerabilities are not found within the complex technology. The ultimate fatal weak points are always found deep inside basic human psychology and the desperate need to trust other people. The advanced technology worked perfectly, but the flawed humanity operating the machinery ultimately guaranteed its absolute final destruction.